What's up guys, and first of all, if you would like to support me and the channel, my PayPal will be in the description. So from me to you guys, thank you all very much. I got this idea some time ago. I just want to thank you for it. What if Naruto had true immortality, guys? Yes, welcome back to Animaking 2, and I'm back with something new for you guys to enjoy. What if Naruto had true immortality? As for the others that are going on, don't worry, I'm working on them. I'm going to be making sure that I don't have to stop as often, so yeah, you're going to be getting a large quantity soon, so there's nothing to worry about. And if you're new, yes, I indeed have 3 more channels which I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy. I'll be leaving a link for all of the channels down in the description, so go ahead and obliterate that red subscribe button if you enjoy. So without further ado or wasting more time, let us begin this now, guys. The heavens, they were crying, they were screaming, as thunderous rain swept through the land. Powerful thunder, boom every few seconds. Electricity came down with a ferocity. Tonight was a very special night. The land was feeling it. The environment, everything. Rain was screaming across the nation. In an unknown part of this land, we find a young boy, 13 years old. His hair was soaked, damp, as it stuck to his face, pulling down, covering the top part of his whiskers, because he had 3 whisker marks on both of his cheeks. He was clad in a long sleeve grey shirt, a long grey pants as well. It looked bland as he struggled to make his way to the top. There was a cliff with an extremely long drop. It was so far that he could not see it. The darkness of the night helped with that though. In one of his hands, he held a kunai, a weapon that would end it all, as he made his way towards the edge. There was a smile on his face. Finally, he said to himself. His name was Naruto Uzumaki. Before he committed the act though, he spoke out loud. "I'm sorry," he said. I couldn't go on anymore." He spoke out loud to the wind. Within the recesses of his mind, he spoke once again. In front of him was a massive cage. Inside of that cage was a beast. "Don't do this," the powerful beast known as the Nine Tails said to him. But he knew the Nine Tails as something else. Kurama. Tears pooled down Naruto's cheeks. "I'm sorry. I can't do this anymore," he said. "I just can't." He quickly left his mindscape. However, the fox refused to give up on the child. It refused to let things end like this. Naruto gazed up towards the heavens. "I have no idea what I've done to be treated this way. What I did to deserve this kind of life. If anyone can hear me, I'm sorry," he said. Speaking to any deity, any gods out there that might hear his cry. Without hesitation, he plunged the kunai right into his chest. He took another step forward only to fall, cracking his head on one of the sharp surfaces as he fell off the cliff. However, feeling his life leaving him, he smiled. However, Kurama refused to let things end this way. Within the recesses of his mind, you could see the darkness encroaching on the Nine Tails. The Nine-Tailed Fox hated humans. It despised them. But this boy was different. This boy was the only full human that it ever truly cared about, and it wouldn't allow him to go out like this. He deserved happiness as well. He was free now. He can grow stronger. He can become better. He deserved to be happy. And after what they put him through, the Nine-Tails started to rage, releasing so much power. More and more and more and more and more. Maybe it was because Naruto was dying. But the seal that cut the Nine-Tail off from him. And I'm not talking about the Death Reaper seal. You see, there was a seal there that prevented Naruto from accessing the Nine-Tails' power. This was intentionally put on Naruto by the one who held him captive. And because of the state that Naruto was in, the chakra exploded out, flowing underneath the bars. For a brief second, a tiny moment, Naruto's life slipped away. And in that second, as the hands of death reached to grab them both, the Nine-Tailed chakra slammed outwards at its fullest. Due to the fact that the beast had been releasing so much to heal the boy, this triggered a lot. As two people arrived, their essence were quickly swallowed up. In the outside world, as Naruto was falling, the heavens themselves seemed to answer his cry as a bolt of lightning saw the boy in mid-air. It seemed to sweep across the sky, but this wasn't any ordinary bolt. It was red, attracted by something, a purpose, a goal, a significant event that would change the course of reality forever. The two forces collide. The Nine-Tailed chakra, the hand of death, everything, the lightning, it all came together with a snap. When Naruto Uzumaki opened his eyes, he found himself in a strange place. Two hands grabbed onto him, one from the left and one from the right. They were pulling him into the deep crevices of nothingness, almost like they were pulling him apart. However, those hands were grabbed by others. Naruto saw two people. They smiled at him, a beautiful, caring smile. He was surprised. They ripped the hands away, and he blacked out. As for the mindscape, when the Nine-Tailed chakra came in contact with everything, an explosion of power happened. In the outside world though, Naruto's body crashed into the water, and he sunk, the current pulling him away. Time skip. What? How is this even possible? Rage. Phenomenal, uncontrollable rage was coursing through this man. His name was Danzo Shimura. How did he escape? How is this possible? This is one of the most secured era in the entire planet. How? How did you let a child escape this place? He demanded answers. He cursed at every single one of them. He was so close, and yet these phenomenal idiots, these mindless screw-ups, allow everything to go flush down the goddamn drain. His rage was palpable. At least tell me that you have a proper tracking scent on him. When the man said that, the rain had, Danzo slapped him across the face. Hard enough you could feel the cracking of the mass. Spiderweb cracks. Danzo was pissed, immensely so. I want answers. I want to know how in the world did he escape this place? And where is Gaia? He said. She's out with the search, sir. Bring her to me immediately. They nodded as they made their way off. Danzo was fuming. That child was the secret to everything. The secret for him ruling this entire world. And yet, those idiots, they allowed him to escape. He can't afford for anyone to find out what he's done. He can't afford for anyone to know until he was successful. He needs to bring him back immediately. Moments later, Danzo was greeted by Gaia. She was a woman with dark hair, specially trained in many different fields. However, she was specially trained even mostly within the art of breaking her opponents, not physically, but mentally. You see, Gaia was a part of the root program as well, but she wasn't your average root ninja, because she had emotions. However, her emotions were so under control that Danzo did not trust anyone else for the job that he gave her. Over the years, she's worked for him. She's turned many people to his favor. It did not take her too long for her to creep into someone's mind. She had no ability to do so, but her techniques, her patterns were just so immaculate. She was in her late 20s. She had amber eyes and dark hair. A rather beautiful woman, another part of her charm, especially when it came to the male population. This woman was tasked with turning Naruto Uzumaki over to the side of Danzo Shimura. Unlike these other root ninjas, you could not simply control Naruto, not even one of the most powerful genjutsu. The Kodama Tsukame could not control him, and there was a special reason for that. It wasn't just because he had the 9 tails sealed inside of him. No, it wasn't just that. It was more than that. You see, Naruto grew up within Konoha, a rather wonderful village as most saw it, but for him, it was not. Flashback. Naruto Uzumaki. He met the 9 tails when he was younger. It was an incident. He was in a coma for around a week. It happened when he was 4 years old. The official statement was he fell off a rather high platform and hit his head. You see, the 9-tailed fox, it hated humanity. It despised all humans. But there was one reason that changed most of this. The first time that Naruto laid eyes on the 9 tails, the first thing he asked was, "How can I free you?" You see, Naruto was aware that he was different. He didn't know how, but he could see it in their eyes. The moment he turned 4, people started to look at him strangely. And this was because of Danzo Shimura. Danzo leaked the information about the boys' Jinchuriki status, and the populace started to treat him bad. There were even random attacks. However, he always tried his best to stay away from it. And doing so, he isolated himself, knowing that he was alone. He was afraid to socialize with people because he was afraid that anyone that might become his friend would be hated as well. So you can understand the mindset there. Being grown up an orphan, he had nothing really. Seeing anything in danger, the goodness inside of him did not like that. The 9 tails was shocked, never expecting that in the slightest, those being his first words. Unfortunately, Naruto did not exactly have what it takes to free the 9-tailed fox. Yes, the beast's influence can overtake Naruto, but the seal was fresh. The seal was simply too powerful, too tight. There was nothing that could be done. However, After waking up from his coma, Naruto spent weeks learning to interact with the fox once again. He understood why the people saw him that way. As Naruto tried to get information from the fox, why did he attack the village, but the fox would not tell him. He said it. I don't know why, but I don't think that you're all that bad. The fox mostly ignored Naruto, but Naruto was a constant, there every time, speaking to him because outside of the nine-tailed fox, he didn't really have anyone. Not even the old man that came by to give him the monthly stipend after he was kicked out of the orphanage. The fox slowly found himself speaking to the boy, here and there. He was so kind, so gentle. He did not deserve the hatred the fox started to think. As he was shocked by his own thoughts, he was the nine-tailed fox. He was a powerful beast that did not care one bit for humanity. He did not care for people, so why? Why were these thoughts plaguing him? He did not know. Things started to evolve as Naruto started to grow a closer bond with the fox. So much so that he started to forget about why he was hated. He had someone in his life that cared for him. And that is when Danzo Shimura made his move. You see, Danzo released Naruto's status so that he could make the people turn against Hiruzen. He wanted them to see that the Hokage was protecting the problem. He wanted Naruto to be isolated. He wanted him to be alone. At first, Danzo was going to manipulate him under the covers of the darkness, but leave him be. However, he soon realized that Hiruzen was still trying to get a bit involved, trying to make a move to ensure that Naruto was safe. Danzo saw it with his own eyes, villagers attacking the young boy, and yet he did not report this. Instead, he just always hid away, refusing to face the conflict out loud. Despite some of them bumping into him, pushing him down on purpose, even going as far as to throw things at him, he just always left, not trying to start anything. He seemed to be okay with it all. After the Uchiha destruction, Danzo decided to take drastic measures. He planned it perfectly. He kidnapped Naruto Uzumaki, allowing the population fright, allowing the miscommunication, allowing the movements of the envoys due to the high, stressful whole week. Danzo took Naruto. It was days before anyone realized. The village went into full panic. Well, not the entire village, but those who were aware of the situation. Danzo had enough waiting. If he was going to create his weapon that would help him defeat Hiruzen, the weapon that will help him secure the world, he had to do it now. The child was not compliant. The child was always quiet, believing that if he remained so he would be alright. But Danzo brought people in. He needed to understand the power. First thing first, he couldn't allow the child to tap into it. He got people that were willing to do whatever it takes for payment. As he tampered with the boy's seal, they began the experiments. This happened when Naruto was 8 years old. Day in and day out, Naruto Uzumaki was put through hell. They wanted to test the limits of the Nine-Tails' regenerative abilities, slicing into him while he was fully conscious. Danzo wished to make an army. He wanted to isolate and control the chakra of the Nine-Tailed Fox, isolate it enough to be able to imbue his own shinobis, making their strength and their regeneration surpass normal human limits. Jiraiya was brought back to the village. Hiruzen did all that he could, all that he tried, but every single turn he failed. Danzo's plan was immaculate, and no one would ever discover what he did. However, he could never truly control Naruto's mind. Since Naruto fell in that coma when he had fell, it seems like he opened his mind to the Nine Tails, while the beast was susceptible to the Sharingan. When Danzo tried to manipulate Naruto's mind, the Nine Tails was able to see it, and it shattered the illusion. And unlike normal individuals, you can't exactly go into Naruto's mind, because if you did, well, you wouldn't be coming back out stable. The fox was truly terrifying in that way. Danzo could not understand that part. He did not understand how one of the most powerful genjutsu was not working. But the boy connection with the Nine Tails seemed to run deeper than even the seal itself. So he brought in Gaia. She was an expert. She would get him the results that he needed. You see, while Danzo intended to put Naruto through hell, he also wanted him to be compliant. He wanted him to be fully on his side. So Gaia started to come to Naruto after every traumatic and painful session, trying to make his mind more compliant, making him afraid of the pain, the memory, as she tried to sway his thoughts towards Danzo's side. However, for the first time, Gaia came to him with disappointing news that she hadn't completely taken control in a matter of weeks. Danzo was angered by that, but he gave her more time, and thus more time passed, and more time passed. And still, the boy remained resilient. Despite all that they were putting him through, he has realized that if he kept to himself in the past, he would be able to overcome everything. And he's been hanging on to that. That is what Gaia had told Danzo. And he had no reason to not trust her. She was always loyal to his cause after all. While that was going on, the Nine Tails was pissed. He even went as far as to tell Naruto that he was the one that killed his parents. He even went as far as to tell him who his parents were. You see, the Nine Tails started to be affected by all of this. Seeing the boy put through endless pain, he never ever thought he would care for a human. Thus he wanted Naruto to hate him. However, what followed was something that shocked the fox. Instead of getting angry, Naruto asked why. And the fox felt his will breaking down. Everything came out. He was ashamed to be controlled, and yet he told Naruto about the man that controlled him. The child then proceeded to apologize to him for all that he's been through, even after what he just told him. Kurama was pissed, not at Naruto, at this world, at everything that surrounds this boy's pain and agony. He did not deserve this. He was angry at them all. He wanted to break free and rip them to shreds. Unfortunately though, Danzo made sure the Nine-Tailed Fox influence was much weaker by placing a 5-pointer seal over the 8 tetragram seal. However, due to the connection that they shared for the longest time now, Naruto could still speak to the fox within his mind. However, accessing his power was something entirely different and something that he could not do. But even then, Danzo found himself unable to manipulate the boy's mind, as Gaia spent more time with Naruto. She told Danzo that the child was coming around to their side. Danzo wasn't aware of any of this. The child was always quiet. The more time they went through their process of trying to test his body limits when they released a portion of the fox power, well, the less he screamed. It seems he was becoming immune to the pain, which was rather startling given the high dosage of pain that he was receiving at every given moment. Gaia started to be there to see the process, something that never bothered her in the beginning, but now she was there to see it all. So that has been the life of Naruto Uzumaki until he somehow escaped. In the flashback, Danzo was fuming as Gaia stood in front of him. He demanded explanation. She told him that things were going along, that even if the child was given a chance, he would never run away because he would be completely loyal to them despite everything. After all, the pain was an incentive to teach him that leaving was wrong and staying was right. And that is how she should have been manipulating his mind. Her words were straightforward and professional. I've never had the opportunity to handle a Jinjuliki before, she said. And as I told you from previous conversations, he has a contact with the tail beast inside of him, allowing us to learn that they aren't just beasts of rapid destruction, that they truly possess a communication thought. However, that was the only subject that I was unable, even with all that I've done, been able to bring out of him. It seems their connection is much deeper than I originally thought. I'm ashamed to say it, but I believe the tail beast was coaching him to withstand my subtle manipulations. Or there's another problem, she said, which would be, she stepped forward. We have a mole in our midst. How was he able to escape? How was he able to leave this place? This place is one of the most secured places in this world. You have made sure of that. And yet, he was able to leave. I had noticed a change in his behavior the night before. He seemed much more calm. Usually, there is always something that was there, something that he was trying to avoid, but he seemed relaxed, like he knew there was going to be changes that I could not stop. I believe someone got into his head, making him know that he would be able to leave this place soon enough. Danzo's eyes immediately narrowed. Trusting this woman, after all, she's been working with him for years. As he gazed around, but who would it be? Who would have the gall to betray someone like him? None of his root ninjas would step out of line. He's made sure of that by robbing them of their emotions. So what the hell was truly going on? Danzo said furiously. As a team report back, number 1 check-in. They had a problem. Time skip. The rain had stopped. Danzo Shamura arrived. It seems like a tiny bit of the blood fell into the crevice. As a root ninja arrived there, using the small little instrument, extracted said blood. It was brought back for testing, and it was the blood of Naruto Uzumaki. It was on a very, very high cliff. Danzo immediately ordered them to dive. However, the current was extremely strong, so if he did fall inside, there was a high chance that he would be pulled away. So they decided to follow the current. However, due to the high rainfall last night, the water stream had risen and pushed Naruto's body somewhere far, far away. As a ferocious stream had pulled him underneath, the current had shifted, making the one that they were following a complete waste of time. Gaia was there as she observed the water, her eyes looking rather perplexed as she watched the root ninjas make their way. Her eyes narrowed towards a rather deep section that would have been, well, high if the rain was pouring right now, as most of the water seemed to have run down the stream. She said nothing though, as she made her way back, aiding with the search. Time skip. Danzo returned back as he made his way. 3 men. These were not root agents, but they did work for Danzo. They were showing him the result of all they've accomplished over the years. After all, Tail Beast's chakra wasn't normal, and it was high, violent, corrosive. In those areas it was high. However, inside of a steel reinforced room was one individual. Danzo allowed the test to begin. His body was littered with kunais and shurikens. However, they exploded out of him. His chakra surged. The red energy coursed around him, elongating his fangs, his nails elongating. Danzo. Danzo had broken ground, isolating a portion of chakra and controlling it. They had a problem though. So far they've been unable to truly sustain said chakra. They were trying to link the tail beast chakra to the, host chakra. But they result in many different failures. Either the host body burned out, or the host chakra inflamed, or they fused together but the host chakra overpowered it because it was such a small quantity of tail beast chakra, and even then the host chakra became poisonous, and the ninja became useless. Danzo immediately stopped the study, not wanting to waste his opportunity, but they need to get that boy back. The constant stream of power. He would break it very soon, but not without the boy. He need him back, and they would not stop until he has him back. Flashback. Hours before, he pulled himself out of the water, drawing in a deep breath. He was shocked. He was stunned. He could not believe that his eyes opened to the world once again. He didn't understand. As his leg moved, he didn't understand. As he walked in a rather forest-filled area, he didn't understand. As he crawled, he didn't understand. His mind trying to understand how. How was he still alive? Naruto Uzumaki continued on making his way, looking for anything, looking for something. Finally, he came across a kunai. It was rusted, showing that it was there for months, perhaps years. He picked it up and without hesitation, he plunged it into his own chest, over and over and over and over again. 69, 70, 71. However, as he looked at his shaking hands, covered in blood, he ripped his shirt open. The wounds healed. Like that. He was confused. He couldn't understand. He gripped his hair and ripped it out. Why? Why? He screamed to the heavens. No one truly understood the mental strain that was on Naruto. Not even the Nine Tails, and he was sealed inside of him. The first few years of his life were normal until he turned 4. However, before Naruto truly became true friends with Kurama, Naruto, he was alone. He was picked on, he was bullied, he was hit. But he kept all of that in. He figured there had to be something wrong with him. When he found out the Nine Tails was sealed inside of him, he told himself that it wasn't his fault. It wasn't his problem. He was the victim in all of this. However, once he was kidnapped, Danzo started to mess with Naruto's mind so much. The torture became common. The pain became something that Naruto started to resonate with. Maybe it was his fault. Maybe he deserved all of this. The more time passed, as Kurama tried to keep Naruto's mind away from those dark thoughts, it started to jumble together. He was sick. He was tired of it all. The constant pain, the constant tests. He had enough. He just wanted all to be over with. He made himself believe that there was no life out there for him. So while in his mind Kurama believed that Naruto was going to survive, Naruto had no intention of going beyond that path. Kurama wasn't the only one that helped him though. After all, escaping from that facility wasn't easy. He was given help, but he did apologize in the end because he just couldn't do it anymore. However, he didn't understand. How was he still alive? He didn't know why he was cursed. His very existence was denying someone's freedom. How could he call himself a friend of Kurama if his body was a cage? How could he dare say that they were friends? He was binding him and keeping him away from the world. It was better off if he wasn't here because his entire existence seemed to be a mistake, a mistake that he was unable to rectify until now. However, as he looked at his chest, not even a scar. It didn't matter the amount of pain that he felt. He was used to pain by now. But what he couldn't understand was, how was he still alive? It didn't matter what he did. The weapon was able to clearly pierce him easily, his chest, his heart, but yet he still stood. He was still living. Naruto collapsed on his back, just lying there, not understanding. Memories of what happened started to go through his mind. He remembered seeing two people, but their face it was a blur. They grabbed him. He wasn't quite sure what happened there, or wasn't quite sure why he was still here. He closed his eyes and tried to focus. He found himself within the depths of his mindscape. He looked around. Naruto was shocked. Yes, he was. The massive seal that once stood there, the gates were blown off, as they were a representation of the shattered seal. They were lying on the ground. Naruto stepped into the darkness and saw nothing. He collapsed. He knew that he gave up in the end. However, he never expected to return without the person that has been here since day one. He was gone as well. Now he was even more alone. What the hell is with all the racket? Naruto spun around. He looked up, but there was nothing there. I'm down here. The voice spoke as Naruto gazed downwards. He was surprised. Kurama? Standing there was a fox, but he wasn't as intimidating as he once was. He was much smaller, looking like a chubby toy. What happened to you? That's what I get for saving your life. You saved me? Why? I didn't want to be saved, Naruto said. And you would have been freed. Why would you waste your time to save me, said Naruto. Despite his small size, Kurama was serious as he looked at Naruto. I told you this before. I hate humans. They've done nothing but start war after war and use me and my siblings to fuel their power, to control us, stucking us in things like you and calling you Jinjulikis, a human sacrifice. And then you use our power and you use us like we're nothing but batteries and you are the weapon. That is why I despise humans. I've hated every single last one of them because none of them, absolutely none, have been able to see the difference between us and power. And none of them have the outlook to see that the world is wrong, that the world is corrupted. Even if one has it, they always fall to temptation, bowing down to their village, calling it servitude, calling it loyalty, but in the end, they all do the same thing. They all wipe destruction and chaos wherever they go. But you are different. Even when we first met, you saw beyond that relic of power. You didn't see me as a mindless being. You saw me as something that would understand, something with intellect, to understand what you're saying, and your first response was how to save me. The world deserves more people like you. And I don't take that very kindly when I say it, because I've never told another human my name. You are the only one. And I believe that the prophecy has finally come to pass. The one to change this world. It shall be you. What? Said Naruto. I never told you who my father was. My father was a god amongst man. And he told me that one day there shall be someone that will unite us all, someone that will free us, someone that we will all come to understand, and they will understand us as well. And as I look at you, I can tell you are that person. My eyes are not deceiving me. I can smell it on you. I don't know how or why, but I can. And having you die this early will be a complete waste. I know that you've been keeping a lot away from me. I know that your mind is filled with so much darkness, so much sadness. During what I thought was my final moments, I got a glimpse into it. And it's even worse than I thought. Now I understand. Now I know why you did not hesitate to claim your own life the moment you were free. Because in your eyes, you are a burden to society. You believe that you're a burden to me because I'm trapped in here. You believe that your existence was a waste, that you should have never been brought into this world. You consider yourself a failure, a waste of breath. But in reality, you are none of that. The people that have kidnapped you, kept you here, they are the ones that are a problem on society. My father believed that someone will come and fix this world. But over time, not even he would have truly understand how wicked mankind has become. And now, using peace and love and prosperity is no longer the option. It's about dominance. Stripping away what they believe will keep them protected. Stripping away this hold that they have. Making them believe that they can claim possession over our intellect beasts. Like we are nothing but tools. That is why I did not let you die. That is why I did not believe in your death. Because you, Naruto Uzumaki, shall be this change the world will be able to see. I can see it right now. You're different. Haven't you noticed? Naruto was confused until he saw his reflection in the water. Naruto had been crying when he took his final breath. It seems like the tear marks on his cheeks. It was no red. 2 red lines from the bottom of his eyes going down. They went straight through his whisker marks. Naruto was stunned to see that his hair was no bright red like blood itself. He was confused. What happened to me? As I said, Kurama leaped and landed on Naruto's shoulder. You've changed. I tried it again, said Naruto, but I would die. In the final moments, I released my chakra. The heavens opened up. I felt outside interference. I'm not sure what kind of lightning it was, but you were struck, and my chakra combined with this electricity. I felt the cold grip of death wanting to claim your soul. There was also your parents. My parents? Yes. It seems that they placed safeguards in the seal. Their chakra came out. I saw them, said Naruto. Naruto's mind started to focus. They stopped me from being pulled apart. They gripped the hands that were holding me, stopping me from being ripped apart. Naruto said, looking down towards his hands, shocked that the memory was now so clean and focused. I think somehow you've become unkillable. What? Said Naruto. How is that even possible? He questioned. I do not know. However, there's one thing for sure. You have to leave this place immediately and create a vast distance between yourself and the ones that held you captive. You can't allow them to capture you ever again. Go. Now! Naruto blinked and he was back in the real world. Fine, I'm going. Well, hurry up. Kurama's voice was loud in his head. This was different. He didn't even have to close his eyes. Naruto started to walk off as he felt steady on his feet. However, something was wrong. Well, not wrong per se, but right if he wasn't being, over-exaggerating, but this was... Naruto bent his knees and jumped. Naruto and Kurama were shocked as Naruto cleared the trees. The problem was the ligaments in his legs. They ruptured. However, in seconds, his legs recovered. Crashing down from that far distance, Naruto shattered both of his legs. When he picked himself up, though, he was fine. What just happened? It seems your body is no longer functioning as a normal human body. I can feel it from in here. The limits that you once had, you can shatter them now without hesitation. But the repercussion is the damage that it dealt afterwards. But your recovery time is seconds, much faster than what I or your Uzumaki lineage would have ever given to you. So you're saying that Naruto ran off and jumped, clearing the trees once again. The pain didn't even bother him as he crashed down. He ran and jumped once again as the wind blew through his hair. Naruto has never felt like this ever before. His life has been nothing but confined and alone. But now he felt free, he felt unburdened, he felt unbothered by everything and everyone as he crashed through a couple of trees, breaking his arm as he did, but it recovered in an instant. He picked himself up and dusted himself off, shocked by how much distance he cleared. Time skip. 1 month later, we were at Konoha as Danzo Shimura. He wasn't happy over the following events. Since the loss of the nine-tailed Jinchuriki, his people have been scouring. He's also put out an ear, trying to locate any sign or any witnesses of anything of resembling the boy. But so far, zip. Absolutely nothing. There was a high percentage that the child had sunken and his body was pulled off somewhere and he died. But they had searched. Given the distance there was still many options about the current pulling him away. But Danzo believed that he was still out there. He believed that he was still there. He had every single one of his root onbus vetted. But every one of them came up clean. Something was wrong here. He still had no idea who allowed the Jinchuriki to be free. He had every one of them, even Gaia, vetted on the situation. And everything was clean, spotless, which pissed him off even more. So who on earth was it? Did the boy really do this by himself? Danzo found that impossible. They kept him away from most things that would lead to him being free. So how did he know how to escape? Well, it shouldn't be possible. Danzo was still fuming over the whole situation. The amount of chakra that was left after he had extracted it from the boy was all that he had to work with for the time being. They need to figure out how to properly stabilize his chakra. Because if they did not, they will no longer have the source, and that will be bad for him and his army that he was going to build. So they had to find him at any means necessary. It didn't matter what they had to do or who they had to go through. The boy has to be found. Meanwhile, sitting within the office was Hiruzen Sarutobi. Most would not notice because he was that professional, but if you truly look, you could see it. Life hasn't been so good. First, he lost his wife during the Nine-Tails attack. Secondly, he failed to keep the secret as Naruto's status leaked to the populace, and the people started to demand explanations. And then after that, the Uchiha massacre took place. A whole clan wiped out like that, putting the village on edge. Then after that, Naruto was taken. Jiraiya was pissed, which led to a conflict between them because Hiruzen told him that he was never here, which caused a rupture between the two. He was his last student that was truly communicating with him. A lot of arguments had led up to this point. Each time Jiraiya failed, he got angrier, and Hiruzen was angry at himself. Jiraiya was using Naruto as a bridge, the final bridge between Minato. He was his student, someone that was like a son to him, as it did not seem like he would ever have children. So, he failed in that way miserably. And Hiruzen did not take all the blame himself. That is why every time he entered the office, he saw Minato's eyes. They were always looking at him with such disappointment. But he kept himself though. He was smoking a lot more despite being advised not to because it was going to kill him. But he was going to die one day. He was old after all. He's given Konoha so much. He was just very tired right now. Due to his weakness over the past couple of years, things in the village were moving into a situation where he couldn't even control anymore, as he found himself losing a lot of power, as there were actions being made that he wasn't even aware of. He was failing. Yes, he was. The village was still standing though, and the latest teams from the academy had graduated to move on to becoming shinobis. So that was good. But it was clear, even if Naruto was still somehow alive, it's been so many years. He was gone by now. Hiruzen knew that he had to be a realist in this situation. If Jiraiya could not pinpoint a single ounce of information about him, it was over. There was absolutely no doubt about that. Time skip. A ferocious bear brought both of its paws down. However, the young man flipped away. The beast jumped forward, only to be fisted in the gut and launched to a tree. It picked itself up though, as it growled at him, moving in and swiping its hand. The young man flipped over it and kicked it in the head. He landed on its back. He then gripped it by the snout and pulled it over. Using an impressive amount of strength as he flipped away, it crashed on its back. He spun in mid-air. As he extended his hands, his nails extending. He drove it deep within the thing's heart, killing it instantly. He flipped off the bear and landed, wiping his face, the blood smearing on it. "Are you done?" Naruto said as he stepped out. Another form of Naruto was standing there, but that was Naruto. You see, the seal that once bind the 9 tails in Naruto was no longer there. So that begs the question, how was the beast still residing inside of him? That should not be possible, because he was no longer linked. The person in front of Naruto looked exactly like him, except his eyes were red and slitted, and his canines were much larger. That was not Naruto, it was Kurama. He wasn't a clone, he was an aspect of Naruto. You see, Kurama realized something, that this so-called immortality wasn't as it seemed to be. It was much more. Naruto had removed his arm. It regrew within seconds. He then used that arm to form something that they were calling a flesh puppet. Kurama wanted to see something, as he tried to transfer himself to it. And it worked. He could literally put his essence within the piece. At first, they believed that it might be, permanent, but they were wrong. It was after a few hours that he started to return back to Naruto as the body slowly rot away. Literally, it disintegrated. Other than that though, Naruto could create multiple flesh puppets. It would require him removing his limbs though, but they grew back almost instantly. His body had truly become something shockingly unique. "Come on," said Kurama. "It's time we practice. I told you that it wasn't going to be easy." Kurama has been trained in Naruto. Somehow the 9 tails seemed to be able to work Nuta's body more than Nuta can. Granted, he doesn't have the same things that Nuta had at his disposal. Nuta sighed. Kurama was still, well, part fox. That domineering side of his, not to mention being the strongest tailed beast. His power was returning, but it was returning rather slowly. Till then, this will do. Nuta rushed forward to attack him, but Kurama knocked his hand away. Still too slow. You have to be much faster. He slammed his fist within Nuta's gut and pushed it upwards. You have to be more durable, he said as he spun, removing his arm and kicking Nuta through a tree. He came down from the heavens after jumping. He crashed both of his knees within Nuta's gut before he jumped off and picked him up and spun him around and threw him through several other trees. He stood there and watched as Nuta picked himself up. Nuta was far too used to pain to cry out. Nuta held his finger up and pointed towards him. He called it the finger gun. Suddenly, at a high velocity, his fingers shoot forward. Kurama started to dodge as he ran into the woods, moving and spinning and jumping. Nuta's fingertip kept on recovering and firing at a high speed that split through the wood off the trees like it was absolutely nothing. Kurama appeared behind him after, speeding around. Nuta turned and blocked his fist. However, Kurama, arm open as he drove his nails within Nuta's gut. Nuta smiled when he saw that as he gripped his hand there. He punched him uppercut, knocking him into the ear. Nuta bent his knees and jumped above him. He then turned mid-ear and dropped his heel into his skull. Kurama crashed into the earth as Nuta landed on the tree, only for a ball of black condensed energy slamming into his stomach and erupting. Nuta was launched, crashing through the foliage. Half of his face was gone. Half of his left side was gone as well. But as he picked himself up, he regenerated within seconds. He cricked his neck and flexed his arms as the both of them went at it once again. Kurama has been teaching Naruto, allowing him to, well, develop new techniques, new things that he could never do before. His body literally had no limits on it. He just needed to learn how to properly control it. Naruto lacked a purpose at the moment. But after what Kurama had told him, perhaps that was his goal. Naruto simply did not know. However, he was still going, as he was not out for the count just yet. Kurama giving him a purpose was something that Naruto took and hang on to, using that to keep on going, because without it, he felt like he had nothing. Naruto believed that he would always remain weak and hopeless, but his strength was growing, and now his mind was focusing on one thing: revenge. He remembered that man. He also had to save someone as well. After all, they were the only reason why he was free. But that man that was behind all of this, they tried to manipulate him in the beginning. Tried to make him bow down to that man with the one eye and the X on his cheek. Danzo, always Danzo-sama, or Lord Danzo, trying to make him respect him. Naruto fist clenched as he grabbed Kurama's fist and pulled him down and crashed their head together. Naruto kicked him away violently. Naruto then plunged his arm into the other one and ripped out his own bone. He imbued it with chakra. His body seemed to be working as a perfect unit, no longer subjugated to different elements, because his chakra, it seemed to move and fuel into his bone, increasing the durability, as Kurama nails could not even break it as he clashed against it, his bone regrowing immediately. As he kept at it, making Naruto far stronger than he previously was. Strangely enough, he still had to eat. As he felt the sensation, hungry wasn't the exact word. However, trapped away, they kept him on this diet to make him weak. Naruto hasn't eaten a piece of meat in years. It was the bear that Kurama had taken down. The fox did not need to eat, but within this human form, his body resembled that of a human, so much so that the taste of hunger was there. Naruto bit down, and his mouth watered. Haven't felt this sensation in so long. As he tear into the meat, Kurama gazed over towards him. His father might believe that peace and prosperity was the only way. But times have changed. Everything has changed. Kurama realized that no one was going to do something about it. It was up to him. And he saw it. None of the other tail beasts did, but he saw it. He saw the one that would fix this world. Kurama believed 100% that this was that boy. But in order to do that, he needs to become stronger. At first, he believed that this strange regeneration was just that. But no, the child literally could not die. Their testing has shown a lot. Even with his head removed, he would be fine. Kurama was linked to him. That means he would also never cease to exist as well. The boy had truly become something that was against the natural law. After all, everything was supposed to die. Even the tail beasts themselves, they could die. But this boy, there seemed to be nothing that can actually kill him. But it wasn't just that though. It was the way his body worked. The way it recovered itself, the way his chakra. That begs the question, how did he still have chakra? Some of this granted did not make much sense. However, he was able to apply chakra to his body parts, using them as a separate entity. He could recover from his finger. Say for example like he tossed his finger down a cliff. He could wield himself to recover through that, and this part of him would actually just decay, burn away. Same thing for if he was hit by a large jutsu, but he could recover from his blood as well. But they have yet to find out if he could recover from nothing. Having his whole body disintegrated, that wasn't something that they've tried just yet. There was a hesitation on both sides. The more Naruto grew, the more he started to get angry. Kurama had noticed that he was such a peaceful child that anger was something that he always put aside. However, the memories, now that he was gaining strength to do something about it, he wanted revenge. Kurama wanted him to have revenge. Because some people did not deserve to live. They will find Danzo Shimura, and they would not stop until he begged them for the sweet relief of death. Then and only then will they make it even worse. Kurama thought with a grin on his face. Till then though, he would like to explore just how far this immortality goes. And what else can this boy do? However, the both of them are about to realize that it isn't just a curse, but it's also a blessing. But that also begs the question, could Naruto truly not be erased? Could he truly not be killed? And if that was indeed the case, what would that mean for the future going on? After all, from closer inspection you could easily see that Naruto was rather suggestible to many things. It was easily switched in his mind that revenge was his next option. He's erased that thought. Yes, he has. Because he never thought he would be strong enough. But the moment he realized that he can't get his revenge, all he wanted was to rip Danzo Shimura apart. So very soon, The whole world will see the result of what Danzo had created. And they're not going to like it. Not one bit. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want to see next part and do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm out for now, guys. See you guys soon. Peace.